Hey, good morning, Bobcats. Welcome back to Startup Stories. Your Wednesday morning stop for all things entrepreneurial. You know, we're here every week, 9 a.m. sharp. So tune in. Don't be late. Last week we had Theo Jackson, who gave some perspective on passion in a business. We talked a lot about ghost brands and the importance of things other than money when creating a business. And he's a philosophy major, so it'll be good. Okay, so if you haven't already, go check out last week's episode. Today, I'm super excited. We're switching gears and getting into the world of automotive detailing with someone who's been putting in the work since high school. Okay, so I'm super excited to introduce. He's had a passion for cars, sharp eye for detail, and a commitment to excellent customer service. Please welcome Drake Johnson.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, thanks for coming on. Yeah. So just diving straight in, let's kick it off with your story. Yeah, how did you first get into detailing? What is detailing for the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Detailing is basically an overglorified car wash. It's really the main focus is attention to detail. That's why it's called detailing. It's a process of basically protecting and maintaining your vehicle. Car washes, they'll use harsh chemicals. They'll use brushes that aren't clean. I actually had a lot of people on my local news page that were complaining about a local car wash who actually ripped their side mirror off. But basically, detailing is kind of minimizing all of that. It's basically a car wash that keeps the quality that you have the way that it is. It doesn't ruin it, doesn't swirl your paint, doesn't dull anything, doesn't damage anything. And it actually can lead to higher protections such as ceramic coatings, PPFs, paint correction. But that's stuff that's kind of in the future with the building and everything. Me, personally, what I do right now, just maintain clean quality, clean any spills, any messes, anything on the interior. Exterior services range from waxes to clay bars to hopefully paint correction in the future and ceramic coatings. But right now it's just the day-to-day mom cars, mom vans, luxury cars that just need a touch-up every once in a while, and, disaster details for Instagram, TikTok, whatever else. But yeah, that's kind of what detailing is.
Does that include vacuuming the inside?
Yeah, it includes pretty much everything from vacuum. If you want to get into the details of the detailing, you can start off with the carpets, thorough vacuum, thorough carpet cleaning. Shampooing is also included for spot removal. Shampooing if you have let's say you spilt a drink in there, you need to get the milk up and stuff like that, or you're looking at mold, those kind of things. Going from there, looking at your seats, you're looking at upholstery shampoo, leather conditioner, just a basic seat cleaning if you don't want all that extra stuff. And then once you get to the trim, you're looking at just trim cleaning, steam cleaning, UV trim protection, kind of all the works. It's mainly to reset your vehicle back to condition while also protecting that same condition for future services. So it's not necessarily just for the one-offs. It's also, I like to keep my car clean and I want to keep it looking clean and keep it looking nicer. I want to make sure that the dust doesn't stay on as much, or I want to make sure that the sun doesn't beat down on my trim and make the black turn to gray or turn faded or anything like that. It's mainly to keep the vehicle as nice and as perfect for as long as they possibly can, as long as the owner is willing to pay for it and willing to maintain it, if that makes sense.
So it sounds like detailing is almost like a subscription kind of thing
kind of not at best, but that's what it's for. It is meant to kind of be we come to your home. You don't have to leave your house. You can just stay at home. Let's say your car is an absolute trash. It's a mess. You have family coming in for the weekend. You just want to sit at home, take care of your kids, have a nice barbecue with your family while you get your car clean. You don't have to take it to a car wash, go drive down 20 minutes down the road, sit there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, wait for your car to be finished, and then by the time it's done, you're going to pay the same price. Quality may not be the same. You had to go sit at a car wash. You had to waste your time. You had to do all this stuff. And plus, you're going to be worried if the quality even is up to par, right? Because a lot of these car washes, they'll cut corners, they'll use cheap materials, and honestly, it just creates a mess that will have to get dealt with in the future anyways. So it's just worth it for people just to go straight to the detailer and say, I have a car that I want to keep pristine. It's brand new. I want to protect it. I want to do the things that I can to make sure that this thing stays perfect for as long as I can. And that's what we're here to do. It's just to be kind of a time saver, a luxury service, and a protection service for people who want to, maintain their quality.
And you go to them?
Yeah.
100%.
The in-service shop-based services, Those will be in the future, but that's going to consider, tinting, paint correction, ceramic coatings, PPF, yada, 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 the whole 9 yards. But that will be the drop your car off, leave it for a day or two, and then we'll service it. And then either we'll bring the car to you or we have a shuttle service or however we end up doing that. But right now, strictly mobile, we come straight to your home, wherever, or business, or wherever has water, electricity, and just the right kind of space and the right kind of, not overhead, but just assets and stuff to make it worthwhile, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, cool.
yeah.
How did you find out about detailing?
I found out, actually, funny enough, through Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that, because I don't want to say freshman year, but sophomore year, when I was 16, got my first car.
Okay.
It was a blacked out Charger. Black is a terrible color to keep clean, keep scratchless, keep perfect.
Dude, I would have thought white.
White, funny enough, actually the best color to have. That or gray. Gray is actually probably the best, just because it's kind of a mix of the two.
When you say gray, do you mean silver or gray?
A little bit of both. Silver is good if you want a lighter color, right? If you're wanting the white, but you don't want to have scratches show up or the dirt look like it's sitting on top, right? Silver is the way to go. But if you want a darker, a black, and you want a darker look, and you like a matte gray, I would go with a darker gray like that. But white gets dirty really quickly. Same with black. Black just shows everything, absolutely everything. Any swirl, any scratch, any fingerprint, any dust particle, anything. White hides a lot, but it will also show a lot once it gets to the point. So it's kind of a trade-off. But swirls, scratches, all that kind of stuff for the everyday person, I would recommend white or gray. Black, you're gonna probably have to clean that thing every other day to keep it looking right. But that's kind of how I started to get into it, because I was looking for detailing services for my personal vehicle. Once I started, I saw how much they were charging, I was kind of like, whoa, they're making some serious money doing this. This can't be rocket science. So I did a little bit of research, kind of watch what the processes look like. And I mean, to be completely honest, it was a little scary at first, because I was like, oh gosh, all these terms and stuff that I don't know, and all these chemicals and all these things, oh gosh, this is gonna be so complicated. Honestly, it's not. Once I was able to kind of get down in the nitty gritty, do some research, try to find on my vehicle what worked, what didn't, kind of almost practice, right? I had a practice dummy that I could just use while I was starting to learn new chemicals, learn new techniques, maximize efficiency before I even started, servicing clients on my own. So that's kind of how I got into the world. In terms of how I actually started the company, that was honestly because of my mom, because she mentioned to me, hey, you do a really good job on your car. I would do theirs every once in a while, just for just to help around the house, but they were like, you do really good, a solid job. You should try to learn it, perfect it, and do it for friends and family. I bet they used you the whole 9 yards. So I was like, shoot, I hate the restaurant work. I don't want to be a server for the rest of my life, so let's give it a shot. It's in the car world. I'm a big car guy, so kind of made sense. I didn't really hate the idea, so took a crack at it. And it's been rolling ever since. I've been loving it. It's been great working for myself. I don't have to cater to a boss. Can work around my own schedule. It's not crazy labor. It's very laborsome. The work is. That's basically what the service is. It's saving time because you don't have to do the labor. Materials and stuff, they're not crazy expensive. It's just you got to know what each one does, right? That's where the knowledge comes in. But I mean, realistically, the detailing is not that complicated, not that crazy. That's why I want to get into paint corrections, because that paint correction, ceramic coating, PPF, all that kind of stuff is very
technical,
very lucrative, because that's where the real protection comes from. That's where you start to see all these Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Bugattis, F1 cars. Even at this point, they'll go take it to the shop, get it PPF, which is paint protection film. If you guys are curious, it's basically just it's a wrap that goes around that's clear, and it just is a protection film. That's all it is. It just protects from scratches, rock chips, whatever else. You can
kind of like a screensaver.
Kind of like a screensaver for your phone, yeah. It kind of absorbs anything right before it gets to the underneath. You can do front bra, which is just the front end, maybe the side skirts and the side mirrors. You can do front half, which is like it sounds, front half, or you can do the full car, and that's what a lot of people do when they get their supercars and their Ferraris and their whatever else. Ceramic coating, very similar, but ceramic coating doesn't necessarily offer as much properties. It's more so it's like a liquid protective film that just makes it super easy to clean. It's just super hydrophobic, and it almost seals the paint inside or whatever else that's underneath. Just seals it off, makes it super hydrophobic and super easy to clean. That's just kind of the main I guess, the main benefits of having it, as well as like the fact that it lasts years versus waxes that last like 3 months. It's basically like a super long wax.
Okay.
So you can put it anywhere.
The screensaver being the wax, right?
Yeah. So if we're gonna get into like the technicalities of like protection for the vehicle, you have a couple of layers. You got the first, which is like your base primer coat, right? That's where anybody starts off when you're painting a car. Then you have your base coat. Then you have a clear coat. Sometimes you have multiple stages of clear. If you ever hear like single stage clear, you probably see it on a lot of older cars. Back then, they would only use one stage of clear coat. So those are super, super, delicate, don't have a lot of protection, just a single base. Nowadays, you probably get 2 or 3 coats, which offer a lot of protection for your paint, which is also what gives it that super, super deep color, that glossy look. That's the clear coat. That's what scratches. So when you see your car getting scratched up, all swirled up, that's the clear coat getting scratched, not your paint. So what we try to do is try to basically bring that clear coat back to factory condition. That's the whole point of what we're doing. You start off with however much sitting on top, right? When we're paint correcting, you basically start to shave off some of the clear coat. And when you see scratches, it's a valley like this in the clear coat.
Right.
When you paint correct, it starts to flatten out those valleys and makes them flatter and flatter and flatter to where you don't see them. Because the reason why you see the scratches is the light hitting in between the things. So the paint correction basically shaves it down to flat to where you can't see the scratches anymore, but you start to take off some of that clear coat. So a lot of customers, when they get their car paint corrected or get anything done, they'll PPF it, ceramic it, do whatever to protect it, because they know you only get a few shots at paint correction, especially if you're doing a super, super in-depth, shaving a lot of stuff off, getting really, really deep. You only have so much before you have to respray the whole car again with new clear coat, and that'll cost you a whole bunch of money. So people who are like, I'm not going to run this thing through a car wash, I'm not going to destroy it just to paint correct it, just to destroy it again. I'm going to paint correct it, I'm going to protect it, and I'm going to hire the right people to maintain and protect it. So detailing has a lot of aspects to it. It's not just cleaning, not just doing a basic one-off. It's getting to the details, it's getting to the nitty-gritty, it's protection, it's maintenance. It's just an experience all in all. And that's the kind of, I guess, vibe that I'm trying to sell, is an experience more so, not just like, because anybody can wash a car. Like, let's be real. You can hire some dude off the street for $20 to go wash your car. Like, it's not that hard to do. But what is hard to do is to offer a great experience with great customer service, great quality, making it easy for the customer, efficient. You don't have to worry about going anywhere. It's at their house. There's just a lot of value for those who can afford it. But that's the thing, is it is a luxury service, so it can be a little bit pricey, which is the thing with detailing, is like, you'll see all these, TikTokers and YouTubers and all these guys who are like, I just charged $600 for a detail, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's a little snuffed, but that is what people can charge. And it is a very, I guess, not cheap alternative, but it's a lot cheaper than repainting, right? And that's the big thing, is like, if you have a vehicle that you like, that you want to protect, that you just want to keep clean, you have something nice that you're like, I'm not running this thing through a normal car wash, that's what we're here to do.
So all of that stuff is under detailing. Not exact. I'm sure the re-spraying isn't.
No.
But the ceramic coating.
Yes.
All of that's
and the ceramic coating is.
Is it included or is that extra?
No. So ceramic coating, the solution itself, it'll be a little bottle about this big. It'll probably cost you $150 for the bottle. Very expensive stuff.
Yeah.
The big thing that you pay for when you go get a ceramic coating or you go get protection is the paint correction process itself. Because you can get a person who will do a 2-stage correction, maybe even 3, because there are multiple stages, obviously. But, there are people who spend like 18 hours on a car just sitting there paint correcting it and making it absolutely perfect. And that's just on the outside. So you start to really add up the hours, really add up the costs, really add up everything. And that's a whole different service. You got to let it sit for 24 hours. So it's a more of a,
gotcha,
in terms of like timetable to get done. It's not the simple, okay, I'm going to sit here for 3 hours, do a full detail, give you basic protection that'll last you a solid amount, but it's not going to be the multi-$1,000 ceramic coatings, right, that are going to last you 3 to 5 years to where you're not going to touch it. So there's a little bit of difference. Detailing,
the ceramic coating isn't the
PPF or clear coat.
The screensaver.
Oh yeah, the screensaver thing. Yeah, so that's the PPF, and I like the screensaver analogy because that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Because you got to think of your paint and your clear coat like the glass of your phone. Yeah. PPF is just a screensaver that slaps on top. That's basically it. But what you can do is you can have that PPF and slap ceramic coating on top of the PPF.
What does that do?
That basically gives you protection from scratches, swirls, paint chips, whatever else, while also having the hydrophobic properties of the ceramic coating. Because that's what's, I guess, big about ceramic coatings is the hydrophobic properties. So if you look at like things that are wax or things that just really reject water, like oils, right? Like if you try to mix oil and water, that's just not going to happen. Similar thing for ceramic coatings. They basically put a layer to where it just does not like water. It just will not stick. Water will just basically roll off, which makes it so easy to clean because now you don't really have to dry the car. You can literally wash it, take a blow dryer, leaf blower, blow all the water off, and then you're done. You don't have to touch it. You don't have to deal with anything.
If you just let it dry, there won't be any watermarks, will there?
It depends on the water that you're using, because that's another aspect. That's the thing with detailing is these are all things that like normal people are like, oh, you can just let it air dry, right? Absolutely not, because depending on where you're at, especially if you live out in the hill country like I do, you get really hard water, and with the really hard water comes like calcium staining, mineral deposits, and that's what causes the water spots. So when you run through, let's say like a sprinkler hits your car, like even if it rains, right? What you see left behind is either your car is already dirty and it rained and it just made like a water spot on the dirt, or minerals left behind because the water that you used was hard and it left, calcified minerals basically behind in the spot or in a, shape of the spot. So that's what ceramic coatings basically help with, is minimizing water spotting, which it will still water spot. But the thing with water spotting, there's so much stuff with there's so much stuff with detailing.
It sounds like you really know what you're talking about.
It's a very in-depth process, and like that's the thing that a lot of customers don't know, is the fact that like if you're hiring the right kind of person, these are all things that they're thinking about and what they know and they have the knowledge for, and it's the process that they go through, and that's why you pay all the money, is because it's not just like, okay, we're gonna throw in a conveyor belt, we're gonna have brushes going and it's gonna miss half of it and it's gonna look like so-so, versus okay, this guy's gonna literally get inside your like, the rim barrels and like the fender welds and like door jams and everything else and basically reset it to perfect, basically. And plus, like, the one thing that I would really like to do with detailing is get more into like the car culture and the car scene of like Austin and San Marcos, because realistically, detailing is great for moms who are go 24/7. They have like a 3-row SUV and they have like 4 kids and they're just like, I'll pay you whatever, just clean it, please, right? But that kind of clientele, it's great, but the amount of work that you have to do, it's worth it, but it's also not worth it at the same time, because, I mean, you can get other clientele who have these super, super nice, like, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Range Rovers, Rolls Royces, whatever, who keep it clean, who want to keep it clean, who don't trash it, who are just like, I'll just pay you to come swing by because I don't have the time to do it. And those are the kind of clientele that I would love to get with. Plus, car guys and the car culture in general tend to be very, not helpful, but, like, very tight, especially if you start getting like groups together and you start getting, throwing car shows and you start getting into the culture like for real. Car guys tend to help each other out, especially when you start throwing car shows for the community and you start getting other people that like maybe have been looking, because like I've had plenty of customers who are like, yeah, like I look for car groups around here. There's just nothing. Like everybody's either too old or doesn't want to like go have fun in their cars, or whatever the reason is. And like that's what I'm trying to use the detailing thing for, is not necessarily for like, for money is cool. Like the money would be nice, but it's also just to create more of a like community connection, and also being able to like offer for other detailers. Like let's say I have a building and I have a bay that's sitting on the other side that's never being used. There are plenty of high school detailers that are out there that may need a shop space, who may need something to use while they're just getting started, but they don't want to pay the however, $4,000 a month that they'll have to pay at a shop. They could rent it out for a day, or rent it out for a week or whatever, right? And kind of use that space of like, hey guys, you're trying to get started. I have a space. Basically, it's just pay me to use the space, but you guys can have, access. I'll basically give you all the equipment, all the everything, or just even if you want to do the work yourself, you just don't want to pay for the equipment, just have a bay sitting off to the side for people who are like, I want to use the nice equipment, but I don't want to pay somebody to do it because I like to just touch my own car. But I don't want to have all this equipment sitting in my house. They can just swing by, have it a little bit cheaper, but they at least have the quality chemicals, the quality microfibers, the quality vacuums, basically everything up to quality, so that they know what they're getting is worth it. And that's what I feel like is kind of difficult for a lot of people, because like car cleaning and making sure that it's absolutely perfect is not everybody's bread and butter, right? A lot of people are just fine with just leaving it as is. And I've had a lot of vehicles that have been left as is and are trying to revert back because they're selling the car, right? And And that's very difficult, especially like I feel like marketing out here is also very difficult just because the routes that you have to go are very niche, especially on Facebook, because that's how I do a lot of like my marketing in general is just Facebook groups, Facebook ads. I feel like the quality of customer like eyes, right, in each group, because funny enough, my mom actually does a lot of my marketing. It sounds bad, but like she's able to get into a lot of the mom groups around town. So like, you know, Bee Cave, Lakeway, Westlake, you know, Austin, San Marcos.
Is she from around here?
Yeah, she.
Oh, that's right, Travis Lake.
Yeah,
you said.
like Lake
Austin.
Travis. Yeah, so Austin. But she's able to get into a lot of these niche groups that nobody can get into unless you're a mom, right? Like those are closed off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
However, there are a lot of moms that need their car cleaned because they have 3 or 4 kids and they have to take their one son to baseball.
So that's like where most of your customers come from?
So that seems to be where a lot of my customers come from.
Gotcha.
And so out here, those similar groups and opportunities are a lot harder to take advantage of, because I was looking at a few to just put an ad out. They're wanting, the admins for the page were wanting to charge me $15 to their Venmo just to post the ad in their group. It wasn't even to like a collective account. It was just to the person specifically. And I was like, screw that. Like, I'm not going to, like, I'd rather put that $15 to like a Facebook ad, right? Or like something different. But like, those are the kind of things that I'm starting to realize out here. Now, in Lakeway, Bee Cave, whatever, that's a little bit different. I've kind of got that pretty much down. But San Marcos is another area where I'm really trying to grow, because realistically, if I'm able to get a location close to Bee Cave, it also probably wouldn't hurt to have a location closer down here to San Antonio, New Braunfels, Kyle, you know, this kind of area, because this whole area, the Central Texas area in general, booming. Like, and it will be booming for the next, God, however many
So there's just
years.
like infinite demand.
Basically. And like, you got to think about it like this. The amount of people that are moving to this area on a monthly basis is insane. Like, there are more people moving here than, like, I want to say anywhere else in the U.S. right now. Like, I got to say, Central Texas is just, like, absolutely popping. But with that being said, like, for example, out in Spicewood, there's a new development being built called, was it Thomas Ranch?
Mm-hmm.
They're getting ready to add, I want to say, like, 10,000 homes, which will bring probably 10, 20,000 cars, which that's 10 to 20,000 possible clientele, right? That are not even here yet. They're coming, and
they're driving here, getting their car dirty. Like, I'm going to need someone to clean that.
I mean, there are so many car washes everywhere nowadays. And realistically, in the future, I may invest in one, because realistically, for those who don't want to do it and want to just drive through a car wash, it's great. You always get people to go through it. No matter, it's like a gas station. You can have 5 on the same corner. All 5 will probably have the same amount of clientele. It's just who wants to go where. But, like, I mean, 10, 20,000 people coming out here, that's a lot. And what I would love to do is basically like solidify myself in that area before they get out there, so that I'm like the guy that people are reach. Because what's first thing people are gonna do? Hey, I just moved here. I'm looking for, you know, a guy, right? I'm looking for a detailer. I'm looking for a carpenter. I'm looking for like a mechanic. I'm looking for whatever. And personally speaking, I would like to be the guy that's recommended, right? I would hate to try to fight with other people to try to get the new me. Basically, it's a lot easier if I can just do that. So hope is building in the future, hopefully in multiple locations. That'd be cool. But that's not like, the main goal is the community thing. Like, realistically, being able to help other detailers who are in my shoes, or other people. Like, it doesn't even have to be detailing. It could be just like, let's say I just have another retail space that's just open, and let's say there's like a tuning company that wants to come in, or a barbershop even, or like a spa or a restaurant, or like, who knows? Like, I'm willing to kind of like help anybody and anybody, as long as it's helpful for both of us, right? As long as there's like a mutual, like, I can help you and you can help me, and it's not like a crazy, I guess, commitment, work out perfect. But right now I gotta solidify myself with what I'm doing, and then, like, you know, I gotta take it one step ahead. But
what does your current business look like?
Right now, weekends only. Weekdays are strictly just for school. Just right now, my parents kind of decided that would be best while I'm still here. I'm graduating end of this year, so realistically, I don't have that much time left, but I still gotta do the right thing, right? But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, usually work days. Recently, because the weather's been a little slow, because it's been just been raining kind of on and off. But spring break era and like before, working just fine. Pretty much been busy every single weekend. I do about 2 per day. If we're talking like full details, do 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. It's good for the sun. If I can wash when it's not super, super hot, or it's not like, sun is just sensitive with soaps and stuff. UV rays, they just kind of make it tricky. So it's just easier if I can just wash the car without having to deal with that. Primo. So
why not just like put it in shade?
That's the building. That's why it's easier.
Okay, gotcha.
Because you start getting in these huge lifted trucks and these huge SUVs and stuff, you're not going to get a tarp that's big enough. You're going to have to get like 2 or 3, and it's just a whole hot mess for somebody who's doing it on his own. Just not worth it. Because I can knock it out without one. It's just, it would be nice, but it's not like, I don't necessarily need it. It's not, but that's all in the future, because realistically, what would happen is there'd be a building and then there'd be a lean-to, right? Like a cover, like you're saying, just for the sun, and then you can start knocking out 3, 4, or 5 a day. Get that shit rolling.
It would make it that much faster?
Yeah.
Or that much more efficient?
Well, because realistically, you start to add the middle hours. Because right now, I'm only in the beginning, which is like 8 a.m. to like 11, maybe 12. And then you're talking probably 3 or 4 to like 7, 7:30. So in between 11 and 3, I can fit at least one more full detail in. And that's without like adding another employee or anything like that. That's just on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And realistically, right now, like, a lot of my clients reach out through text. Email hasn't really been super popular, but I feel like texting is just so much easier for everybody. Like, so many people.
Do you normally get clients to book you?
Yeah.
So you're usually booked every day that you work.
Yeah. Like I said, this last week or two has been kind of slow because of the weather, but like it's been pretty consistent because I've got people who are on a monthly maintenance plan. So those are consistently on it. So I don't have to worry about getting those guys. It's just like, okay, let's say I have 4 spots a weekend, right? And let's say there's four weeks in the month. So I have like 16 spots for each, month. Let's say 3 of those are already filled, 3 or 4 of those are already filled with maintenance clients. Now I only have to look and say, okay, I need to get 12 more people to book with me somehow. And what tends to happen, past clients will reach out because it's been 6 months, it's been a year, it's been, however long, or hey, it's that time of the year that they just want to get it done for spring cleaning, or, whatever works for them. But like, I'm pretty much every weekend I have it booked out. Like, I've been to the point where I've been booked out 3 weekends, but it's just only because my weekdays aren't available that I have to book out that far.
Yeah.
But, I mean, realistically, if we're talking full blown, you're looking at probably 10 vehicles per week, give or take. And that's with one person. So then you can start scaling from there. But like,
how much do you charge?
It depends. I mean, like, we can start cheapest and most expensive and then fill in the rest. But like a full detail on like a big like 3-row SUV, whatever, blah, 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 with the 3 to 5 month like wax ceramic sealant plus like UV trim protection, carpet shampoo, the whole 9 yards. For a huge truck, it's gonna be like $350. It can kind of range depending on like how bad it is, right? I very rarely like added it's too bad, because my like thought is, I gave you a quote, I'm happy with it, and it's my fault for not asking for pictures beforehand. So it's a little more like, I'll just take the hit or whatever. But usually that's like the max I'll charge for like a huge truck. That same process and everything is only going to be like $250 for like a sedan, like a Mustang or like a Tesla or something like that. And then if we start going like exterior onlys, like $50 for a normal wash with like a 1-month sealant, and then like depends on how big, but you're looking at like $75 to $100 for like the 3 to 5 month ceramic wax sealant, which I have on my truck right now, and I'm hitting close to 3 months, and it's still doing pretty solid. But yeah, it's definitely worth it for those who need it. It just, I mean, it very much varies.
Okay.
But,
well, $350 times 2, $700 a day. You work 3 days a week.
Yeah, give or take.
So $2,100 a week.
Yeah, and I will say, okay, if you want like numbers
oh
for...
my God. That's kind of crazy.
But that's like full. Like usually I'm probably looking at only like $1,000 to $1,500 a week, just because like pricing, sizes, and everything can change. But right now...
And that's working 3 days a week?
That's working 3 days, yeah. So right now, like, I will say the $1,000 to $1,500 is probably closer to 3 to 4 days a week, and that's with like full details on each day. But if I were to...
Well, what would you call an average day?
An average day, you're probably looking at about $500-$600 a day. If like,
okay,
I'm pretty consistent, you're looking at about $500-$600. So that's average. That's not consistent, obviously, just because it's kind of on and off. But
so $1,500 to like, whatever.
Yeah, to whatever, and it's basically however much I want to work, how much I want to market, what kind of services I'm doing. I've had days where I've made like $1,000 in a day just because I've done like 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening, right? It just, I mean, it's so fluctuative, and that's...
Dude, that's like crazy.
But it's kind of hard because like you'll get those days,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll get like what I've had in the past couple weeks with living expenses plus taxes plus everything else hitting me at once, plus work hasn't been like the greatest because of weather, and it's just it'll all come crashing down. And it's very much like they all like to say, it's like a up and down, like you're gonna go through. It's true, you will. You don't have a consistent income, you don't have a budget, you're basically banking on the fact that you're betting on yourself. And I like to do that because like I will bet on myself every time, but like that is what's nice about like a 9 to 5 is a guaranteed, like, you will make this much at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then like,
I was gonna
extras.
ask how you stay motivated, but 500 to 600 a day, some good motivation.
It's one of those, like, I hate thinking about doing it because I've been doing it for so long, and like my car I haven't touched in months because I've been like,
oh, I bet
I do this for everybody else. I want to do this for myself. I'm not even paying myself, but I need to do it. But like the motivation comes with like I know what I'm going to do. I know what's working for me. I know what I don't want to do. I know the people that I don't want to work with. And I have a goal in mind. And that goal kind of keeps me level-headed and like, okay, the past couple years, you've been kind of setting goals, setting benchmarks, just setting like things you want to hit.
Yeah.
And so far, what I've been telling my mom and like all my friends and stuff, to this point, I'm right where I want to be. Like where I sit right now is kind of where I wanted to be sitting. So it's like, I'm not going to stop because I'm doing what I'm wanting to do. It's just like, okay, it may not be as quick as some people want to do it, but like comfortably, I'm doing what I want to do. It's growing. It's not going backwards. Once it goes backwards, that's when we got to go like, okay, like, is it going to work out? Like what's going on? But so far I haven't really hit too many like crazy roadblocks where I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I have hit like, okay, this is going to suck, but you're going to get that with any job. Like,
for that 350 high end, 250 low end, is that profit or margin? Is that profit or revenue?
That's revenue. So to give you some numbers on profit, my expenses sit around 25 to 30%. That's it. Everything else is labor.
Wow. Okay.
So that's the one thing that I do like about this service is...
Dude, if you just work an extra... Because you're saying that demand's not an issue at all. So like if you work one extra day...
Exactly. Wow. So that's why I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, scaling is definitely something I'm thinking about, but I also don't want to scale to the nth degree, especially since debt starts coming into the picture. And that's something that I just don't want to hold on to.
How would debt come into the picture? I just see you working more.
Yeah, so once you start working more, then you got to start saying, okay, am I just doing mobile or am I also going to do the paint corrections? Because like, to do the paint corrections and the real expensive, because like you gotta understand, this is mobile only, so this is only mobile stuff. Paint corrections, you start looking at like low side $650, and then high side you're looking at like $1,500.
So why not do sustainable? So like we talked about this a little off camera, but you said that you have 9 hours of classes, right?
Yeah.
So 3 courses. Do you space those out or just have them all Monday, Wednesday?
I space them out a little bit. My Monday, Wednesday, Friday class is 8 a.m. Love it. But I get that done pretty early.
Yeah, light work, just an hour.
Just an hour. It's easy. I get it done out of the way. And then from 9 on, I just kind of use that time to, reach out to clients, message clients that have reached out to me, or whether like, hey, I want to do like, I'm starting to get into photography a little bit. So I've been using that time to like get good at Lightroom and like practice and like work with some of my clients. Because realistically, if I want to make an experience, what more will stroke a car guy's ego than saying like, okay, now that's all clean, you want to go take a photo shoot and like tell me how cool your car is and you can get some cool pictures and whatever. Guys love that stuff. They'll eat that shit up like so quickly, but it's something that I'm trying to get into and I'm trying to use my time wisely. It's just like I said, school during the week, and it's hard for me to kind of get around that because a lot of my clients are all the way out in Lake Travis, and that's an hour drive. Ergo, why I want to try to market out here a little more, it's just a little bit more difficult because the channels aren't the same. So I'm going to have to pivot a little bit. I kind of want to get into content creation. I actually got a connection on LinkedIn from this photographer guy well, technically he said he's Austin, but he actually lives in New Braunfels, but I'm going to work with him a little bit and try to work on some content creation, maybe social media stuff. But what I would really like to do is just have a very niche-y vibe because there's so many car detailers out there. Like you can look up, detailing, 100,000, pages will pop up, right? But the ones who do great stuff have something that they do different. Like, it's whether or not, like, this guy just has really, like, the sound's really nice and he has a really cinematic, vibe. Or this guy does a lot of, like, teaching and, like, showing and demonstration. This guy just has really crazy transformations. Or, there's always something that one page will do over another. And I mentioned this to you actually before with the vinyl record collecting and stuff. I would really love to integrate that with the detailing somehow. Like art, because I feel like people love like three things, especially guys. It's art, music, and cars for guys. Women technically could be slapped in there a little bit, but like just for like...
I think it describes women pretty perfectly too.
Yeah, pretty much. But like people love those three things, right? They love going and listening to live music. They love going to art galleries, art shows, art exhibits, like listening and seeing people's creativity and, that side. And then people just like cars. Like F1 becoming much bigger and a lot more wealth coming in this area means a lot more car culture as well. And with that car culture comes people who are like-minded like that, who are like, I don't have the time, but I want to make sure that this is clean. Or I have a second house somewhere that I have cars there that just need to be touched up every now and then, or start working with dealerships. There are a couple places that do like private storage, like VIP storage for like vehicles. Like,
so you just have like so many different ways to scale to this audience.
There's so like I have taken my time, and the past year or two I have literally sat and projected my like 5-year plan, right? And I've sat and been like, okay, I could go this way, I could go this way, I could go this way. That at least gives me channels. Yeah. And I just wait to see where I sit, and then I'm like, okay, well, obviously this one's not going to work out, right? But these two kind of seem...
What if you, like, take a slower approach? Because, like, so from what I'm understanding is the current 3 days that you work, for the most part, those clients are out in Austin, and you have to drive there, come back. Yeah. And so it's a hassle to add on, to expand, like, your client base here. Why not work one extra day, so make it a 4-day work week, and that fourth day is, like, purely a San Marcos day? Yeah. So you only take clients from San Marcos, and then you start like sort of building a client network here and there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And realistically, like if I can really get into the San Marcos community and really like infiltrate that, this area in general.
Is it really that difficult?
It's not.
Like you need 2 clients.
It's not necessarily that difficult. What's difficult is the fact that the economy sucks right now. So it's a very like... It's not necessarily like anybody's fault. It's just like right now there's so much fluctuation with everybody's money, everybody's job situation. Like nobody knows what's next. So a lot of people, especially here in San Marcos, I will say is not divided, but like what I see on Facebooks and stuff and all the groups, they're used for the wrong reasons. And it's hard to, I guess, like take advantage of that when you're surrounded by the wrong kind of crowd. So it's hard to kind of find that niche of like without spending a whole bunch of money on like Facebook ads or like advertising, like sponsorships and stuff like that, which is one thing that I'm trying to do is keep my advertising budget to a minimum because I'm not trying to scale crazy. So I'm only taking what I can get, and I don't need to take on like if I start marketing and let's say I add even just like 10% more clients, that's 10% more clients I'm gonna have to deal with, and it's just like I can't necessarily fit them in with my schedule unless I add another day, which, like you were saying, if you can have one for just San Marcos, that'd be awesome. But realistically, why not just one day? I could do 2 or 3 or 4 when I'm not, because like if it's here, I just drive 10 minutes, 15 minutes to go service after school or something, right?
Right.
But it gets really difficult when you're having to drive an hour, do the service, and then have to drive an hour back, which is why I stay with my parents on the weekends to go.
Well, have you thought about like maybe not San Marcos, because I feel like San Marcos might not be the correct demographic for what you're looking for. But what about Wimberley?
Wimberley is a really nice place, and actually it's funny that you say that because my parents we're kind of in the talks right now about getting either a rental property in Wimberley or like rent to own situation, right? But Wimberley is I love Wimberley. Like that area is so beautiful, and the people there are so nice, and obviously the clientele there are well off, and it's not like it's a very different demographic, like you said. I actually have had a couple clients from Wimberley. It's just different because everybody's spaced out. So it's very hard for word of mouth in Wimberley versus like a normal developmental neighborhood where everybody sits right next to each other and they know everybody. Wimberley's a little more like, unless he texts or does like like whatever, you have to rely on, I guess, the advertisements to do your work. And I can obviously do that. It's not a big deal. But what I'm trying to do right now is really trying to minimize the amount because my budget is so, not slim, but it's like, if I'm going to try to save and invest later on, I have to keep everything kind of slim now because I have what I need.
Have you ever thought about, because this was a genius idea so I brought on another guy
Mm-hmm.
for a previous episode. His name's Jared Cargill
Mm-hmm.
or Cargill, and he came on and he was telling me that so he's a barber.
Mm-hmm.
He worked out in Odessa. That's where he grew
Yeah.
up. Went to high school. He scaled up to 10K a month,
Yeah.
like type numbers,
Yeah.
and then moved over here and lost his entire client base. And he started giving out free haircuts. And the reason why this works is because like people come back for haircuts. But it sounds like your business model is pretty similar. And so have you thought about like maybe doing like I know it's a lot to give up a free detailing.
Yeah, it's hard, especially because there's two sides to that sword. Because like people will come back for haircuts, and a free one will make them go like, "Oh my god, he gave me a free haircut! Like I'm gonna go back to him."
Right.
But on the flip side is
They'll take
why is he doing it
advantage.
for free? Like
Yeah.
even crazier, which like you were saying, take advantage and say like, "I'm gonna use you once for free and never again." And honestly, the amount of people that just because I actually talked to one of my clients who also a small business owner, but he does art. He just does like art, pieces and stuff. And his wife owns a clinic, so they kind of do that full time. But he was just like, because I offered for him for his kind of car group, like, hey, can I come do photo shoots or whatever? I can even do like free car washes. And he was like, dude, don't ever do stuff for free. He was like, the best advice that I've been told is to never do anything for free because they will never use you again. And I kind of took that not to heart, but I was like, you know what? It does kind of make sense because anybody I've ever done anything free for the company has never used me again. They just kind of like use it. They'll say thank you, cool beans, whatever, but they're not like, it's not something like a haircut where it's very like common. It's just more so like, do you have the extra money? Do you want to keep your car nice? Use me. If not,
Maybe it's
understand.
a demographic thing. Maybe like offer it.
Definitely
I
a
think
demographic
if you offer to the right demographic, it might have better
yeah.
numbers
And
better conversion rates.
And that's why I'm trying to, because like even New Braunfels, that's another area like south instead of going north and just kind of go down that direction.
Yeah.
That's another area where I'm going to try to not infiltrate, but like that's another nice area. I like the vibes. It's not too far, but it's close enough, right? That's definitely another area because the demographic there is a little more like older. Because that's the other thing too. A lot of the older generation can't wash their own car, so they
You should
have
look
to
at
go take
Kissing Tree, dude.
honestly, Kissing Tree is one of those that like I said, like if I can get into that group and I can just be like, hey guys, like, I can do it. But the other thing too, because it's a home service, I feel like it's also very easy to slap other home services on top of it. Like let's say,
Which is smart, but what you were talking about was sort of not scaling to the nth degree. And you have all these different plans, but like you should really just pick one and go with it.
and that's the difficult part because it's like I feel like this could take me so many directions. It's choosing which one seems to be the best fit for now. And I have time. Like I still have a little bit of time to figure it out, but like there's so many different routes I can go, different business models I could use. I mean, like I've thought about like 5 to 10 different directions I can go and kind of the outcome of most likely what will happen. But I would really like to narrow in on one. That would be nice. And realistically, I think the narrowed in will be a building. Use that for community events, community outreach, maybe throw car shows, do events for people who are bored on a random Tuesday night and they have nothing else to do.
Just getting a location.
Just to get a location, because once you get the location, then the people will come. It's just you got to get that location, and that's the hard part. But with that being said, I have a few connections, especially one of my clients, Cody, the same one that I just mentioned to you about the free thing. He himself actually has wanted to build a building and get something like that going. And he's been using me for the past like year and change monthly, just once a month. And he kind of was like hinting at like, hey, I might be building a building. I might use your, like nudge, like we might need a guy, that kind of stuff. But it all depends on how I get the building, because if I have to buy it my own with my
maybe
money,
rent at first for like proof of concept kind of thing, test the waters.
Rent would be awesome, and that's why this thing with his name is Cody, but like that's why the thing with Cody would be great because he would be able to cover the rent, and he would, because he talked to me and both had very similar ethics, very similar business models, very similar, like we just want to help people, we want to be in the community, have friends, have people that we know that can make money, right? But it's also just like something for like kids to do on a random Tuesday night. We're doing a drive-in movie night on our property, right? And it's just like we charge people $10 a ticket. They come drive in and whatever. We're not doing detailing that late and we're not working, but we can still use it to offer, not services, but like events, outreach, things for the community to do, because like Lord knows you can never have too much things to do, right? Because I mean, Lakeway, Bee Cave, all surrounded by the lake. Once you go away from that, then it's the older crowd and like restaurants and the dining and everything like that. There's not a lot for like younger audience or kids to do, or even car guys. Like there's only a few car shows that happen a month, and it's like one in Drip, one in Del Valley, and you'll get a couple of like one-offs throughout the month, but that's about it. Lakeway, Bee Cave, they've been really, really needing something that's like different and something of that vibe, which is why I think hopefully things can work out well. But it kind of just depends on, because there's a step that has to step, and then the next step, and then the next step. So it's a lot banking on like where I'm going to be sitting in 6 months. Because then once that happens, then I'll have a clearer vision of like, this is where I'm sitting. This is where, this covers one of the 10, visions I had. Let's just keep it rolling. Let's, go this route because none of these will work. Right. So it kind of just, I'm in a big waiting game right now. I have to just wait until I'm graduated to see where I'm sitting. But like you said,
you have mapped out more different ways to expand than anybody else who I've ever met. So it's crazy. But I want to ask you some advice questions before we hop off. What advice would you give to someone? What advice would you give to yourself when you were first starting?
Got it. From when I was first starting, don't undercharge. Like, know your worth. Because I will say, when you're first starting, you're going to have to undercut. Like, it's just to get that draw of like, why should I use you over somebody else? You're going to have to undercut a little bit just to get that trust, right? But once you get that trust, don't be afraid to like say, okay, now people are wanting me. This is my competitive pricing, and that's that, and stick to it. Don't let people push you around, because most likely what's going to end up happening, those customers that are bitchy about the price will be bitchy about the service as well, and they're never going to be happy.
That's good advice. I actually had someone say that exact same thing.
And it's crazy because the moment that I raised my pricing, I lost some clients, but I gained
just gonna ask
great quality clients because they know what it's worth and they have the money. You start dealing with people who are cheaping out on price. They're not going to tip you. They're probably going to be the worst conditioned cars that you have, and it's not going to be fun. Versus the guy who's paying for a full detail and his car's not even trashed and is going to take me only 2 hours versus 3 or 4, but I'm still getting paid the same. That's the difference. So like, don't undercut yourself. Don't undercharge. If you're not getting any no's on your pricing, you're too cheap. Once you start getting those no's, then you should start saying, okay, I'm right where I need to be. I don't need to go any higher. Because I had to basically scale up my pricing from like, you're going to freak out when I say this, I was doing the same $350 details for $150 when I first started out.
What?
And that's what's crazy, because like, competitively, that's what you're supposed to charge. But as a guy who had no experience, knew nothing about it, I had to undercharge and undercut and basically kind of breeze on, kind of scrape on by, right? Just to get the experience. Take that sucky first year, which was technically my senior year of high school mixed with my freshman year of college. So it wasn't like that important, right? In terms of money, which is why I'm glad that I did it when I did. But yeah, I mean, like, quality of clients is such a big thing, and it's one of those, like, do you want to have a very easy burnout type of situation where you're just gonna be like, this sucks, I hate my job, whatever, blah blah blah, or are you gonna deal with Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Rollses and whatever else all day long? You're around cool rich people who could be a connection, could be a friend, could be whatever. They may send you off to their neighbor or whatever else, and it's just like, knowing your worth is really important, but you also have to know when to make that flip and make that switch, because you don't want to do it too early and then people are like, oh, well, like, it was good while it lasted, and like, he's good, but he's not that good. Versus you do it for a year or two, slowly raise, and then get to the point where you're like, okay, now I'm booking out with people who I'm having to push them away, whatever, raise the pricing. Because then, like me right now, I can only take on so many clients, but if I'm keeping the same amount but raising it by $50 a client, that's $50 a client. Like, that's a solid number. So pricing is a little wonky. It's definitely probably one of the harder things to do, but if the quality is there, customer service is there, it's efficient, it's a great experience, they'll probably come back, because a lot of customers hate the search, right? Once they find somebody, they're just gonna be like, well, I know a guy. Like, I'm not gonna go do this whole process again and try to find somebody else again. I'm just gonna use the guy that I used way back when, because I've had clients who have used me like once a year. They'll just hit me up out of the blue, like randomly, and I'm like, you haven't used me in like a year, but like, sure, I'll detail you again. But it's like, it's been pretty consistent, and it's just like, that's just how it is sometimes, and it's great when it's like that because it's super low maintenance, but they're coming back, and that's what's important. Because I've had clients, even Cody, the same guy I've been talking about, he tried to go somewhere else because he was using me for a little bit, and he tried to take it back to the dealership, tried to go take it to somewhere else, and he was like, okay, I need you, like, the dealership did a really crap job, like, please come back, right? And he's been using me ever since, and he has yet to complain about anything. So it's just, if you're able to know your worth, you're able to stick to it, know your goals, know kind of where you're heading, because like I said before, like, I'm in a state of, like, I have 10 different goals that I have in mind, but if there's one that's the main one, you'll go through all that burnout and all the rough stuff to say, okay, this is just a stepping stone to get closer to this goal up here. And once you start realizing that, it's not like you can breathe, right? It's not like some crazy unobtainable goal that you're never going to see ever, and it's going to be so hard to get to. It's just more so like, just breathe. It's just like school. When we first got here in the semester, in the very beginning, it looks like, oh God, we have 3 months of school to do. Like, we have all these assignments, but as you go through and as you get them done, you look in the past and you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And you do the next thing and it's like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And it just gets easier, right? And it'll make sense. But I would say the first year, maybe year and a half, probably going to be really sucky, especially if you're not getting a lot of success early. It's going to take a mental toll a little bit, and that's where the entrepreneurial mentality comes from, right? Is the whole, like, being able to, like, hit it hard. And what was the guy from the interview, or not the interview, the speaker series today? What do you say, pound the rock or whatever?
Yeah, pound the rock.
It's basically the same thing. Like, you just gotta keep going. Nothing's gonna change if you stop, right? Like, if you stop, like, it's like saying, oh my God, my sculpture looks like crap, but you still have so much, like, room to work with, where you're like, well, crap, like, okay, it looks crappy now, but I can tweak this a little bit, tweak this a little bit, tweak this a little. Okay, now it's starting to look a little better, and you can start kind of being able to chisel, but you got to take a breath and be like, okay, maybe it sucks right now. Let me tweak a little, tweak a couple things, hit it really hard, and hopefully I'll see some kind of change. And if not, then maybe you need to, reconvene and realign yourself a little bit. But, like, it's definitely, like, mentally speaking, entrepreneurial, like, I guess the route, like you said, that versus, like, not commercial, but, like,
corporate.
Yeah. It's a very split mentality. It's one who's, I hate bosses, I hate working for people, I want to work for myself, like, my time is my time. Then there's those who are like, I just want to have a job, I want to pay for whatever, blah blah blah. Like, I don't want to say easier, but it's like, once you get the job, then it's like, if you do the right things, you can probably maintain it, and then you may not get, like, the raises and stuff that you want, but you'll have the job. Versus, okay, this is going to be this, but all it takes is one thing for you to go from here to then, oh, okay, now you're all the way up here, and then now you're just kind of, like, back and forth up here, and you can start taking that step, take that step. Definitely an interesting experience for sure so far. Absolutely.
Damn. All right. Yeah. Well, I got one last question for you.
Yeah, for sure.
In your experience for customer relationship management, do you think the quality of your service has been your like the thing that brings people coming back, or is it sort of like your customer relationship management, like conversations, talking
a little
to
bit
them,
of both,
caring,
because it depends on the customer, right? Some may say, oh my God, the quality is what I hold most important, and the customer service is just like, I really don't care who comes, I just want to get it done. Yeah. Then there are those who love the fact that I'm personable, and you can text me at any time of the day, and you're going to get a good answer, and it's going to be professional, and like, okay, if something's not going to work out, like, I can make it work for you, right? Or I can say, like, okay, I technically don't do this for everybody else, but because you're a client of mine and you've been using me, like, I can make it work, right? And there's a little bit of, I think, comfort in that, knowing that you're not texting some big wig corporation that has no idea who the hell you are, and you're just basically texting a bot, or, like, texting some AI thing, or just some, like, tech person, sitting in a room somewhere that doesn't know the company and is just reading a script, right? Versus texting personally, one-on-one, with great attitude, great professionalism. It's not like you're going to be weirded out by the guy who shows up and it's some weird dude that you're like, okay, now this guy looks a little sketch. You can have a good presentability, great, face-to-face contact, because that's the other thing too, is, like, you can be all great over text, but if you show up and you don't look the part, you don't, sound the part in terms of, like, professionalism and, kindness and quality, you're going to lose that customer probably, just because I feel like, just, like, from a surface level, presentability is so important, which is, like, why I started investing in, like, merchandise and stuff, and trying to get a little more of a, like, I guess, united look, because that does carry a little bit of weight versus just, like, okay, you look like you're in your normal clothes, like, and just hopped off, like, a work shift at your other job to come work this one, versus, okay, now you're this is your company, right? And I'm talking to the owner, not somebody specific. It's a very one-on-one channel. And that's the one thing that I guess is probably going to be hardest is getting an employee growing while maintaining that same customer service, the same quality, the same knowledge and everything. That's probably what's going to be the hardest, just because like you can do the work, but if like you have a guy who's doing the work but he's terrible at customer service, and you have somebody when you're not there who's asking questions, who's doing whatever, and he screws up for the whole company, not just himself. So it's a very like, if you're personable, you're presentable, you're professional, you know what you're talking about, you're not trying to take advantage, you're just being nice, you can chit chat, you say like, oh my God, I love your dog, what kind of breed is he, you know, that small talk, right? It creates a very personable, friendly relationship, and it goes from like, okay, you're a random company to, oh, you're just Drake, like, and you run the company, but like you're just Drake. Like it's not anything that's overarching, nothing super crazy. It's easy, quality's good, and you know that it's not going to be like a worrisome situation, I guess, if that makes sense. It just makes it easy on the client. So it's a little bit of both.
Convenience, service, personability.
Yeah, personability, because like the quality is the quality. Like it, you can probably get the same quality anywhere else, but I'm trying to set myself, you know, separate myself in terms of like customer service and the actual experience in total, because the quality will probably be the same if you went to a different shop. We all use very similar chemicals. Same processes, stuff like that. But once you start to like differentiate and say like, okay, not only are we going to do this, we're also going to slap in a free professional photo shoot on top of that for your vehicle, which some companies would charge you a couple $100 to do. Now it's like, oh my gosh, like now we're going to sit and talk and like take a shoot and like really have a more like, it just creates a meaningful connection, right? In ways that isn't necessarily more work for me. It's just like, okay, we're just going to take a little bit more time, take a little more time to like, favorite thing to do, sit and talk 10 minutes after the service. We're just chit-chatting, talking about the car, maybe talk about, you know, some protection, you know, advice, right? Let's say like, hey, like, I don't know if you're going to use me again, but like, this is what I recommend for the future. But then also just like talking like, oh, I see you went to Texas State. Like, yeah, I'm a senior, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, I graduate at the end of this year. You know, did you graduate? Do you have a daughter? You know, oh my gosh, what's your name? You know, you start getting a little more into the depths of friendship versus just a client. And that's where the differentiating is, and why I think people would rather go through that than deal with some commercialized shop that is just going to be the same everywhere else, but you're going to have a different dude every single time show up. It's just some people don't like that. Some people like the personability. It's just, like you said, demographic.
Yeah.
It very much depends, for sure. But
well, thank you, dude. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Sure. Yeah. This has been super informative, and I didn't even realize that detailing was, you know, this crazy of a business model.
It's crazy, and like I didn't think so either. It just took me wanting to do it myself, and I'm like, shoot, I don't want to pay somebody else this much to do it, but like if other people are, sure, why not? Yeah. It was just like, it just ended up working out, and I've been loving every second of it. And it's not rocket science, but it is laborsome, but it's worth it in my opinion. And honestly, service based, if you don't have a product or anything, everybody always needs services, especially rich people. They always need services. So if you're trying to figure out like a business model to do and you don't know, do good quality services with great communication and be efficient and show up on time. Like that's literally the damn minimum for some of my clients that are like, oh my God, thank you for showing up on time. Like my last people, they like were late, or they just didn't tell me that they were never going to show up. And I'm like, there are people who run their business like this? Like this? Dang, okay. But it's like, those are the kind of things that don't seem like a lot, but to some customers mean the absolute world. So it's like, it's the little things that you just got to worry about, but the little things set you apart. So yeah.
Dude, we're happy to have you on.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we go, let's dive into the news section. So Bobcat Bazaar every other Thursday. We just had it last week. Yeah, so not this week, but next Thursday. What that is small business owners get together right outside of LBJ Mall, and they sell like their products, services, stuff like that. So, you know, come stop by, support student businesses. If you have a student business yourself, we're leaving Connor. He runs the Bobcat Bazaar. We're leaving his contact, or actually we'll just leave the websites to where you can sign up in the description below. So yeah, check it out. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Take care.